Hello everyone, Ellen Woodbridge here, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Australia. I would love to welcome you to the July Stampin' Round the World video hop. And for July, our theme is complementary colours. Now, I have an easy way to share with you what complementary colours are, and I am using the Stampin' Up! Colour Coach. So this is a colour coach with Stampin' Up! Colours on it, excluding our in colours, and our neutrals are on the back. Or our, more brown shaded neutrals are on the back. If you have a colour wheel, the same theory applies. So if we have a look at the back, it says complementary. You know what they say, opposites attract. Try pairing colours that are opposite each other on the colour wheel to find a fun, bold contrast. So that is opposite. So on the front, they have helped us. So they have complementary and complementary. And we have lots of other different colour theories as well. So what I am using today is Petunia Pop, Bubble Bath and Garden Green. So if I come over here, now Petunia Pop is one of our in colours, but it does fall in our red violet range. Now I have taken some liberty here and gone into green. So if we go directly opposite, we're in our yellow greens, and I have just gone a little bit further into our green. So we're still doing red, violet and green. Okay, so that is what I have chosen. Now the reason I have chosen that is because a sheet of the Florals in Bloom designer series paper is actually perfect and has complementary colours. Now there is a little bit of blue in there, but I have managed to find parts to make my fault line card that have the least amount of blue possible. So I'm not sure if I'm going to use this piece or if I'm going to use the top of this piece for our card today, but I have both pieces at hand. Now to go with our beautiful Florals in Bloom paper, I have grabbed our Ness of Winter designer series paper, and this is where I have got our garden green stripe from, as well as I just put a tiny contrasting piece of, because you know neutrals are always allowed, and I've just got a contrasting piece of crumb cake just to soften it the tiniest bit. So they are the two designer series papers that I've used, and as I said, I've added in Bubble Bath and Petunia Pop in the Stampin', Garden Green in our stem. Now these are from, Pretty Florals stamp set and the matching dies. So these are available currently together as a bundle, and I've taken our sentiment from the Beautiful Butterflies stamp set. Okay, so I've just realized I don't have my card base at hand, but I was very kind to myself and I did actually prepare one earlier. So this card, as I said, is called a fault line, and it basically has it involves ripping. So we've created a fault line. I have never up until earlier today ever made a fault line card, and I thought it showed off the designer series paper beautifully, and there are many different ways to create a fault line card. I've seen people use embossing. I've used all designer series paper, and that's just the way I've done it. Use the Stampin' dies and a sentiment. Okay, so I just want to show you, I'll bring this up close. I have shown the white core of the designer series paper. This would also work really well with our two-tone cardstock because you do have that white core. Now, to get that white core, we want to rip the paper towards us. Now, I do have issues with my hands and I do find it a little hard to start tearing, so just bear with me. I may even do just the tiniest little snip to get me started. Just a tiny snip, just because my hands aren't wonderful. Now, I did say tear towards, and you get that beautiful white line. Now, I can tidy up that white tear line, so if I think that's a bit too much white, I can bring in my scissors again and just kind of make that. You still get the torn edge, but we're just reducing that white area. Okay, now I'm going to, this piece, it didn't matter how much I took off. I do want a slightly larger piece here. So I am going to do the same again about here. Just a little snip and make sure I can see where that little snip is. And the more I support the area that I am actually tearing, and you know what? I have done that from the wrong end. So I will just need to grab my trimmer and trim this off. You know, it's all good. We can find a way around this. So there we go. And that other piece I will definitely use on another project. Okay, so now what I would like to do, I want to put this piece on top of that piece. Now I can put it as close or as far apart as what I would like to, and you can see just with these two pieces we do get a wonderful contrast. Now something else we can do is just rough these edges up using scissors. So just using the blade of your scissors. Now this, I'm not great at doing this, but I'm just showing you what you can do. Now we need to adhere them both together. I have made both of these pieces as wide as a card front. So this is going to fully, helps if I don't stick myself to the DSP. I am also going to snip a little bit of this off. I'm just going to try and conserve some of my cardstock here, because we don't, no one needs to know that you are not using all of the cardstock. Now, I will bring back in my trimmer here. I'm actually going to use it to line up my pieces. That's if I can unstick them from my hand. Because I wasn't particularly thinking when I glued down. Actually, this isn't going to work for this piece. When I made it before, I did make it slightly different. By this, I've just decided, sorry, I just knocked myself there. No, I didn't knock you guys. That's wonderful. I decided to make this card backwards for ourselves today. Okay, so I am going to line this up as best as I can. There we go, that's pretty good. And I'm going to add some more Stampin' Seal here at the bottom. Okay, perfect. Now I just have a thick basic white card front here. Now this is where I need to choose which piece of the designer series paper, the Florals in Bloom, I would like to use, because as I said, I have very little blue, which technically isn't in this up here, where I do have some blue there and I don't really want to use it. So I'm going to go with this bigger piece. And we're going to stick down right there. Work out, so I kind of want to cut it off there. There will be the tiniest bit of blue, but not too much. Okay, so I know I'm going to slightly stick to this here, but I want that about there. And give that a trim so I can use that piece on another project. Now I'm going to go, oh, that popped up quite nicely. Thank you. Okay, so I have my top piece. Now I need to work on my bottom two pieces. But in the meantime, I can stick this top piece completely to the card base because we have done everything we need to do. And then the bottom pieces can get stuck directly to the card base. Okay. So I just want to line this up as best I can. You can use your paper trimmer if you want a perfect corner, but I am going to play it by ear. I am a little bit over, but I can trim that off later. I have this piece and my other piece appears to be on the ground. It would not be one of my card making videos without me dropping something that I need on the ground. Okay. We have our piece. So I am going to make it easier for myself and go from this end. I tore it all by myself. So just tearing it bit by bit like that. Now this one I did manage to do on a really good angle. This one I haven't. And that's fine. Okay, this piece I'm going to do exactly the same. But do you know what? I can almost get it going. Okay, get those paper snips back and give me a starting point. Now I am doing majority of this video in real time, and we do have our other video hop participants that you can watch and see what amazing things they have done with complementary colours. I can't wait to see them either. We get no sneak peeks. Okay, just take a little bit of that excess off. Just grab my trimmer. Don't need much of this, probably about that. I'm hoping I haven't taken off too much there, but we will soon find out. So I want some Stampin' Seal or whatever your favourite glue is. There we go, nice and sticky there. Roll that on, and I'm going to pick this up just like that. Perfect. So now what I want to do, because I know we have a finishing point on our card, I'm going to pop a couple of pieces there and pop one here along the edge, and then we can glue this down, and we have created our fault line card base. And I am going to only be left with one tinsy piece of blue that no one will notice, and you're only noticing it because I'm telling you about it. Okay, that is great, wonderful. Now I am going to cut off the excess here, and I'm also going to trim up all my other pieces. So only a few little bits. Now I do always line up with the inside of the card, and you always get a perfectly trimmed piece that can go into my I'll use another time. I do have little pieces in all my designer series paper that will be ready to use for next time, which I love. Like with my cardstock, I always have pieces there ready to go. Just getting these slithers. Bit hard when they're not all one piece, but I'm pretty sure I got majority of them. So that is the card front done. You can tell I roughed up this edge, and not this edge, but that is fine. Okay, so next you can now decorate this however you would like. But what I would like to do first is take our 2 cone flower stamps, and I'm hoping my white piece of paper is here, which it is. And I'm going to use, now the designer series paper says Pretty in Pink, but it's a very pale Pretty in Pink. So I chose Bubble Bath and Petunia Pop. And for these particular 2 stamps, I do find it easier to stamp the darker one first and then line up the lighter stamps. Sorry about dropping that in your ears. Okay, so I'm just going to go like this. So full strength, Petunia Pop there. Just let me get this stickiness off my finger. And now I've left the Petunia Pop open because I will need it for the sentiment. And now I'm coming in with the solid stamp in Bubble Bath. And that just goes over perfectly. It's not perfect, but it is close enough that no one will ever know that it's not super perfect. Okay, so that's all my stamping with the Pretty Florals. Okay, and now for our sentiment. I have taken that from Beautiful Butterflies and the Time to Celebrate. Do have a scrap piece of paper here. Bring back my Petunia Pop ink. And I am going to hand cut this out. I just thought it had a lovely look which worked really, really well. That's stamped beautifully. Now that I'm finished with this, I can close it up, and I do think, oh, I had ink on my finger. That has now come off. Okay, so as I said earlier, I do have hand issues. So I am going to hand cut this out. So I use a pair of scissors that have a spring on them, which take away some of the fatigue in my hands. I also find it easier to turn the paper rather than twisting and manipulating your hand. Okay, so I'm just kind of going with all of these ups and downs. My hand cutting isn't going to be perfect, and I do find it helps to cut away some of the excess as it tends to become a little heavy, and it does stop you being able to do some nice smooth lines. So I just get rid of those pieces as I go, and around, straight, and then we do all the wiggles on the bottom of Celebrate. So you can see here that some of the cardstock has bent up, and there is a really easy fix for that when we get to the end. And then we've just got to do one bit of die cutting, and we are assembling and finishing the cards. So the fold line cards don't take long to make, and once you get going on them, the actual possibilities are endless. Now, I need to cut that bottom piece off. It was just getting impossible to manipulate. So let's go back up here, turn the paper some more, and we are almost there. And I was chatting with a friend while I was cutting this out, and I went, oh, I'm all finished, and she went, oh my God, I cannot believe you hand cut so quickly. I don't think I do it quickly, but there we go. Okay, so you can see here, this is a little bruised and battered, but I'm going to put it on my mat, and I'm going to put it stamped side down. I'm going to take my bone folder and burnish all the edges, and this really does smooth everything out. I can see there I do have a little crease, and from here I can see if I want to recut any of these edges. Now this end to the T here is annoying me. Will it stay there? I don't know. I'll see. It's just a very soft piece of paper that is actually going to stay there. Okay, so I have the Celebrate ready to go. Oops, I am now got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, have my piece of paper, and I just need to grab this die here, and I use this one here for the stems. So I didn't stamp any of the stems. I took one of the pieces that already cuts out a beautiful stem and leaves for us to use. Okay, so let's pop this on. So this lines up quite nicely. Am I going to get a perfect on video? Absolutely not, but close enough is good enough, and it's handmade. So leave that there, grab our top plate. So I angled this in and pop it down and I sandwich it. So this isn't moving anywhere. Okay, so let's take this out, remove this, put the die in the dish so it doesn't get lost. And actually our die cutting wasn't half bad, so I'm quite happy with that. So before I add in the sentiment, which does fit really nicely just in there, I want to put my flower in, and I've just chosen the cone flowers because I think they were very, very pretty. Of course, we have our larger flowers, which we can use as well. I just wanted this card to be a little dainty, unlike its makeup. So let's do this. So I'd love in the comments for you guys to tell me your favorite complementary colors. There is a famous complementary color combination that we will probably be using very, very soon as we make some holiday cards. But I'd love to know your favorites. Okay, so pop that there. I'm just going to use a dimensional on here, and while I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of our sentiment as well, because you might as well do it all at once rather than doing it all twice. Okay, so I just want to support the end here. No saggy middles. I am going to put something a little thinner there. And no saggy middles. And I think I think I do have the perfect edge piece just here. I love using my edge pieces to be able to create the perfect dimensional. I just need to grab the back off this. So always use your edges, whether you're creating tiny pieces like this or you just cut them up and use them as a regular dimensional. Okay, I have my take your pick tool, which my magnet has decided to adhere to, and I use the Crafters Tips extension pack, which has this amazing hook, and I'm just going to take all these backings off. I think I'm going to have to do the little one by hand when I get there. Speaking of hands, there is our cone flower, and I am just going to pop that on like so. So that bridges the gap of the fault line. So that's what I like to do with those types of cards. It brings a sense of connection, which is perfect. And then I want to use, I know these white lines aren't exactly straight, but I can use them as a guide. So as a guide, just like that, for our sentiment. And as a final touch, I wanted to add more petunia pop. So I have taken our flat pearls in the 24-26 in colours and just added a couple of those. And petunia pop is one of my favourite colours, and it does break up the green, because I have used a lot of the garden green in this project, And just by having our bubble bath and petunia pop sentiment and flower, it does just give you the balance that is required. And of course, we're using 5 of these beautiful pearls because odd numbers always look great on a card. So we have 1 element here, we have 3 designer series papers, and we have 5 embellishments. So that is our card finished. This is my original, which isn't too much different to the one I have made with you now. So just quickly going over what we have used. I have used the Florals in Bloom designer series paper and the Ness of Winter for our other 2 patterns, 2 stamp sets, pretty florals and beautiful butterflies. Our die set, pretty florals, the flat pearls, and most importantly, to help with my colour decisions, I did use our colour coach, and I do use it quite a lot more than I ever expected that I would, and I love just having it here because I do have all of the Stampin' Up colours, and even if you have not all of them, this is still great basis for helping you with some colour theory. So I hope you enjoyed this video talking about colours and all the fun crafty things, and please be sure to have a look at everyone else's amazing videos in this hop. I look forward to seeing you in next month's hop, and have a great day. Bye.